Whenever I speak, either at a college, on LinkedIn Live, Zoom meetings, I typically talk about different areas in finance: investment banking, sales and trading, risk management. This is actually the first time I'm going to be doing a series specifically on seniority. We're going to start this week from being an intern, and we're going to end off with the most senior title, managing director. I'm focusing exclusively on tier 1 investment banks because, quite frankly, there's too much in finance going on. There's investment banks, multiple tiers, there are hedge funds, pension funds, there are fintech firms. I can't cover everything. So we're going to focus on investment banks. And without further ado, let's get started. So the internship, which apparently the banks have decided is now an offensive term, so we call it the summer analyst program, which, by the way, there is a summer associate internship program as well. We are not going to be talking about that this week. In fact, we're never going to talk about it, but it's the mirror side of this for master's students. So the summer analyst program is an internship program investment banks have, where they basically do a 2-month interview of a pool of candidates to choose who's going to be in their analyst class the next year. The first category is barrier to entry. We're going to do all the categories for all the different titles. So some of them might not make sense for an internship, but I'm going to do them anyhow, just to be consistent. Barriers to entry. There are really 2 barriers to entry to be a summer analyst at a top tier bank. The first one is you must be in school and you must still be enrolled as a bachelor's student throughout the summer. I've had amazing candidates who were just graduating, and I fought tooth and nail to get them into a summer analyst program, and I was told, we're sorry, our hands are tied. It's impossible. So you must still be in school. And I would tell students who want to specifically get into a certain area, such as investment banking, and they really need that internship program, I would tell them, maybe push off your last class and graduate in January instead of June. That way you can still be a bachelor's student and you can still go to a summer analyst program. It depends. That's not a hard rule, but there are times when I would suggest that people do that. So barrier number 1, you must still be in college. Barrier number 2 is your resume. And that's honestly the biggest one because most of the applicants are in college. What does the resume mean? It means you actually have a really professional and well-organized resume. Guess how much experience most bachelor level college students have? Very, very little. I mean, everyone has some sort of internship they threw on. Most of it's fake, but very little experience. Guess how many skills? Not too many skills. So how well you can demonstrate what qualities you have and make your resume look extremely professional, that is really the barrier. You're against 1,000 other candidates probably, and they're all being judged by this one piece of paper. So have a spectacular resume. And please, I hate that I have to say this, but don't trust your school's career counselors with putting together your resume. Pretty much every time, it's not a high enough caliber resume to get you into an investment bank. Number 2, your responsibilities. So what are your responsibilities as an summer analyst? Well, your responsibilities are nothing. You don't have to produce anything for the banks anymore. It used to be that the interns were kind of apprentices and they learned and did work. None of that nonsense. You don't, in fact, not only do you not do stuff, but when you work in sales and trading or investment banking, you cannot have access to deals or to live trades for regulatory reasons. So you actually can't do anything of value. So what do? What are your actual responsibilities? So this is going to sound silly, but your 2 responsibilities are you're going to be given either stocks to play around with, theoretical stocks, and we're going to watch how you did trading over the summer. And by the way, the results don't matter. It's your presentation that matters. You could do terribly as long as you explain what happened well. So number 1 is your actual presentations, whether it's about your stock picks or it's about some company you had to cover, your presentation that you will do in front of a bunch of senior people. And the second thing is actually being on time. Showing up on time, which means early, by the way. Always come early. And leaving after almost everyone else has. You're not a hired individual. You can't leave a half an hour early when the bank goes out for drinks unless they explicitly tell you to. You always stay at the desk late, and you always come early. This is an interview. Would you show up 5 minutes late to an interview? No, you would not. So please, this is an interview, okay? Those are your real 2 responsibilities. So how to get promoted? Now, this is an internship, summer analyst program. So you can't actually get promoted, but how do you get hired? So you get hired as follows. Well, basically, let's use the number 8, okay? Let's say we had 8 interns over the summer. And there are 3 positions that are going to be open, or 4, whatever. There are 2 that are automatically going to eliminate themselves by doing stupid things. And I can give you a couple examples. Stupid things would be coming late a few days and having pretty bad excuses. Not showing up at all. Even if you were like sick, but it's an interview. Don't miss, okay? Unless you're green. I'm serious. No one else is going to miss, so you shouldn't. So doing something like that obviously is pretty foolish. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate on this. What do you mean if I'm sick? No, if you're really, really sick, sure, stay home. But don't miss a day because you're sick this week and 2 weeks later you're sick again. You start playing these games as an intern, it's not going to look good for you. So that's number 1. That's a very good way. A second way, and I've seen this, is interns trying to outdo other interns and almost sabotage them. Like talk and say, yeah, I know that other intern. I actually know her personally. I mean, she's okay, but she can't code her way out of a box. I mean, like we were in it, like saying things like that. I don't care if you're saying it to an analyst or an associate. That will get around and people say, oh, that type of intern. You're gone. You need to talk and sing praises of the other interns. I'm so privileged to be part of this group. Every other intern I've been meeting with, they're just smart, intelligent. I'm learning so much from this class. It's an amazing experience, even if there was no one else here. That's the way you need to talk. And people think, okay, this is a person who appreciates being around other people, flourishes around other people. This is who we need to hire. So I've seen people try to sabotage other interns, and yeah, you're gonna lose it. So there are things like that, just stupid things that can get you fired, so to speak, which means you're just not gonna get hired. Once we weed out those, you get down to a subset of the interns that all should get offers. Usually it's like there are only a few that got knocked off. So let's say you have 5, you're gonna hire 3, but you have 5 that kind of passed all the tests. There's no actual way to pick the top 3. So what you end up doing is like looking for little things to pick out of the 5 that are just make them not as good applicants as the other ones. And they show up. And I'm just going to give you a bunch of examples of things that will be things you'll be graded on. Showing up on time, being friendly with the other interns, as I mentioned, meeting with everyone on the desk, especially the most senior people. I had an intern work with us years ago. She did everything perfectly, except she didn't reach out to anybody who was managing director or higher. So when it came down to finally signing off on the names, none of them knew who she was. That's not good. So yeah, it's awkward. You're a measly intern. I don't care. Stop by their office, knock and ask for a few minutes, send them an email, try to get on Zoom for 15 minutes. They have time for you. They want to hear from you. They want to see that you're proactive. And just be polite, talk about how amazing the program is so far, ask them questions, suggestions, whatever. I mean, I would speak with your advisor first before you have this conversation to make sure you don't say anything stupid, but have that conversation. You need to be known. When you talk to people on the desk, have a pen and paper, write down everything you learned from them, and study your notes before talking to the next person. Because a great thing to do is to leverage some information you learned from one and use it to ask a further question and increase your knowledge with the next person. But what I've seen is cases where an intern will ask the same questions over and over and over and over again. And then when the VPs all get together and talk, they say, yeah, I'm surprised she didn't know what a rate was, whatever. And then the next person says, oh, really? Did you tell her? Yeah, I told her. Oh, that's funny because I told her too yesterday. And then a third person says, well, I just spoke with her. She has no idea. That's a pretty bad look. And yes, everyone's talking about you. That's what happens. It's an interview, okay? Presentations. You probably have to do 2 presentations throughout the summer. Maybe 3. They have to be perfect. Not a single spelling mistake. The numbers have to be perfect. The slides have to look great. But above all that, and that's very important, above all that, you will get questions at the end. You will get challenging questions at the end. You have to know your content cold. And just trusting yourself is a terrible idea. What you need to do is go to senior people on the desk, not too senior, like I guess VPs or associates are good, Ask them to sit down and present to them and ask them to challenge you. And then at the end, they know the business. They will start throwing questions at you that you are not prepared for. And those are the questions you need to study. You get a whole list of those. You don't know what you're talking about, but you get that list of questions. You go, you study until when you have these mock presentations, you start having answers. And then when the actual presentation happens and the managing directors and the senior desk heads start asking you questions, you know all the answers. That is a good presentation. So that's a really good tip on how to do well. Next topic, salary and bonus. It's not relevant. You're an intern. You're not here for the money. I know you need the money. Okay. You're a college student, blah, blah, blah. You moved out of your parents' basement. It's great. That's not why you're here. You're here because you want to get hired, right? Or because you want a top tier bank on your resume. So I'm not even going to talk about salary. And obviously there's no bonus in an internship program. That's about it. That covers it for the summer analyst programs. As I mentioned, summer associates are similar, but they have a lot more responsibilities and a lot more is expected of you, including work experience, and your resume has to have more content on it. But I'm not going to talk about that actually ever. Next week, we're going to talk about when you get hired and our full-fledged analyst, what to expect. I look forward to seeing you next week.